After 2 months, I can finally say it. Justice for Dr. William Husel. After 2 months, finally, he's been acquitted of all 14 counts of murder. 5 days of deliberation, and the jury reached its verdict this very morning.
Relative to count one, we, the jury in this case, being duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant not guilty as to count one of the indictment for murder. Count two, relative to count three, relative to count four, five, relative to count six, relative to count seven, relative to count eight, as to count 9, relative to count 10, relative to count 11, relative to count 12, relative to count 13, count 14, we, the jury in this case, being duly impaneled, sworn, find the defendant not guilty as to count 14 of the indictment for murder.
As we followed this case from day one back at the end of February, questions arose. Was there causation? Was there really any proof that he murdered these people? Did he ever intend to do it? Did he have any motive or reason to do it? And more importantly, were these sick people, these terminally ill people who were already on death's door, and in some cases, dead possibly, well, did he do anything to hasten their demise? Clearly not, and I've never thought that. No witness the state of Ohio put forward ever made me question, oh geez, maybe he really did do this. Every time, what happened? You would see on cross-examination, these witnesses get savaged and torn apart when they clearly had to admit there is no proof. Lead defense attorney Jose Baez did provide a press conference over Zoom, and he answered quite a few questions from the press pool. In those questions, he addressed such issues as, how did Dr. Husel ever find out about Jose Baez, and how do they work together, and what made Jose Baez want to take his case?
And as soon as William saw that I was withdrawing from the Weinstein matter, he immediately called me again and flew down to New York, where I was trying another case, and we had a frank and honest conversation with his, saw the potential danger of a conviction in this case, and what it would mean to healthcare and what it would mean to patients. There are a lot of people in pain all across the country, and this war on pain that has been initiated by various governmental agencies needs to really step back and be cautious as to what they do. People are trying to just ease their suffering.
And I think when he explains that, you really understand Dr. Husel was innocent. He was a scapegoat. He did nothing wrong. And you can hear it in Jose's voice. He was terrified for this guy, not only for what was going to happen to him, an innocent man doing his job, but what was going to happen for the state of pain care in this country, and how doctors were going to have to worry about looking over their shoulders at some overzealous prosecution should the prosecution not like how they did something. In addition, Jose Baez talked about one of the most difficult things in this trial, and that was navigating and managing and organizing all of the exhibits and all the information and all the charts, and being able to pull those up and use those resources on the fly during trial. Additionally, Jose Baez talked about the motion to disqualify that was filed by the defense on the eve of jury deliberations. That has since been unsealed, and we will be covering that tomorrow night on the Thursday night stream.
Unless I get a pulling me back text, otherwise I will say this much. I have never tried a case that it was extremely hard to put on a defense, and a lot of what was not seen in the background were the struggles that we had putting forward our case, which included all of the issues with Project Lighthouse. This is the first case I've ever seen where someone's confronted and the jury will never hear what exactly he said when being confronted, because they knew it was not beneficial to their case. When we actually filed this motion, it was based on it was based on, how shall I say this, evidence that we thought was overwhelming, that and the standard is that the accused does not feel that he or she could get a fair trial. And when you see the motion, you will see what was actually said on the record, that basically took us to the tipping point that this is not something that we could stand by and idly do. And if anyone knows me or the way we try cases, we fight hard for our clients, and if all we ask for is a fair shake in trial, and if we're not going to get that, we're going to certainly fight for that. And that's exactly what we did and why we did it at that time.
And then finally, I think the most powerful thing from this interview that Jose Baez gave shows you how strong and the conviction he had in his cause and the case that it was before him. They never doubted it. They were always certain of that victory. They were never overconfident or cocky, but they believed in their cause and they believed in what they were going to do.
I don't know. Well, I can tell you this, Dan. You've covered the case throughout the pretrial process, and I don't think you ever saw us shake or in fear of the evidence in this case, or what we believed was going to be presented. In fact, I think you heard me say, and I think you could see in the courtroom, we were anxious for William's day in court. And if there was ever a turning point, I can't say there was. It was the day I took the case that I knew that this was an innocent man. And as I read through the evidence every day while reading, and the months and months of preparation that went into trying this, we were hopeful and confident that the truth was going to prevail. And that would be, I wish I could give you guys a turning point, but it really wasn't. There were some moments in the courtroom. I think the questioning of the lead detective in this case set the tone for the trial, that this was a farce of an investigation to begin with. And then I also think that that there were,
Now, obviously, they did a great job. They won. But in reality, they did a phenomenal job on this. This was top-notch defense work. These were great examples of how you cross-examine witnesses, how you do so in a deliberate manner that doesn't have to be angry or fast and flashy. It was methodical, and it just cut piece by piece by piece. They cut into each one of these witnesses and destroyed them. And then finally, when it was their turn to put on their own witness, well, he looked like a rock star. Why? Because the state was not able to effectively cross-examine him. They weren't able to take pieces out of Dr. Zivit. And what did that do? Well, that left you with a case where you can't prove anything. There's no causation. There's no intent. There's no motive. Well, in a murder trial, those are pretty damn important things. And if they don't have them, not guilty is what should happen. Now, as far as the reason why it took 5 days, Jose Baez stated that he believed that the jury was out 11-1 on 13 of the 14 counts, and then one of the 14 counts, it was 10-2, and they believed the entire time it was for not guilty. I'm not sure what those holdouts were, what hill they were willing to die on. Thankfully, they saw the light and they came to the proper conclusion, and Dr. William Husel gets to walk free. Now, it's over for him. But he's got civil suits now he has to face. Getting acquitted does go a long way toward helping him. It's great ammunition. Is he going to be able to be a doctor again? Who knows? Right now, that's probably not going to happen, and it's probably not going to happen for the near future until all his civil matters are settled. Maybe he even want to be in the state of Ohio. But either way, congratulations, Dr. Husel. You've earned this. So for Dr. Husel, his ordeal is over, at least on the criminal side. There are still many civil cases that are pending, and this acquittal will certainly be great ammunition for him to go forward in settlement talks, or if he has to go to trial in a civil matter, this will be helpful to him. Will he ever be able to be a doctor again? We don't know yet. That's still something down the road, and that's probably not going to be an issue for him or something to focus on until he gets all these matters settled. Will Ohio ever let him be a doctor again? Who knows? The way he was scapegoated, I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm not sure I'd want to be back in Ohio as a doctor after the way the state and everybody else treated him. They ran this man out on a rail for some reason. The only reason I can think of is Mount Carmel West was a dog shit hospital. Ran poorly and managed poorly, and they went after their best doctor. The guy went to the Cleveland Clinic, did his residency, was highly trained, highly acclaimed, was Doctor of the Year at Mount Carmel West. Yet somehow he turned around and became this angel of death. None of this made sense from the start. And it's a shame that he was prosecuted with such a flimsy, crappy case. I think the prosecution should be ashamed of themselves. And certainly the administrators and hospital staff that hung him out to dry should be ashamed of themselves. But you know what? Those guys are scum. They're not attorneys. They don't have an ethics code. But the attorneys who prosecuted this, come on. You know this is a bad case. You try to run out there on emotion and say, oh my gosh, all these sad people and their family members. And these 14 people are dead. Oh, woo, woo, woo. Big mad, big sad. That was it. That was their entire case. So congratulations, Dr. Husel. You get to walk among the righteous. You were an innocent man from the start. Enjoy your time with your family. And hey, it's 420. Maybe you spark up. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you do, you do. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Tomorrow night on the Thursday night live stream, we will be covering the motion to recuse in depth, and we'll go through it. I have not looked at it yet. I want to kind of react to it as everybody else does. I think there'll be some interesting things in there. Jose Baez said it was an interesting motion that they had been putting together throughout the trial. So we'll see what that is. And guys, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe. Everything would be appreciated. Questions or comments below. And until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Especially Dr. Husel. Bro, you ain't guilty.